Okay, so next we're going to take a look at graphing cosecant. So let's suppose we have the equation y equals 1 plus 1/2 cosecant of x plus pi over 4. Let's just change it. Let's say this is a 3. It's kind of boring to do it like that. So let's put a 3x plus pi over 4. Alright. Okay, so the trick here is to remember the relationship between cosecant and sine. And so what we'd like to do first is we would like to kind of sketch the graph of sine. So let's look at sine first. So if I look at sine first, so if I look first, I look at y equals 1 plus 1/2 sine of 3x plus pi over 4. Okay, I get all the information I need for that. So the vertical shift here, that's equal to 1. Okay, so the absolute value of a is equal to 1/2. Alright, then we want to figure out where our cycle starts. So I take, I set up the inequality 0 less than or equal to less than or equal to 3x plus pi over 4. And I solve that for x. And so we see here by subtracting over pi over 4 less than or equal to 3x. And then dividing by 3, we get that negative pi over 12 is less than or equal to x. And so by doing this, this tells me where the graph of sine would have started if we were graphing sine. Okay, but this is still useful information. Okay, let's look at our period. Where the period is going to be 2 pi divided by 3. Okay, and the 3 coming from the coefficient of x here. And then the quarter period is a fourth of the period. And so if we take a fourth of 2 pi over 3, that will give us pi over 6. Okay. Alright. Okay, so let's call the axis. Okay. My vertical shift is 1, so let's say here's 1. And you go up half, down a half. So let's say this is 3/2. And let's say this is right here a half. Okay. And I can kind of, let me draw on a guideline as well. So this line right here, that is that vertical shift. And so that kind of lets me know what the new x-axis would be. Okay, so now let's see. Let's label our x-axis now. So our x-axis, like I said, is going to start at negative pi over 12. And actually, I'm going to rewrite this pi over 6 as 2 pi over 12. And that's just because, remember, what we want to do with the quarter period is we want to add this to each of the x values here on the x-axis, right? So since it starts at negative pi over 12, it's nicer to have the same denominator. Okay, so negative pi over 12, let's say, is right here. Okay, try to turn that to a pi. There we go. Pi over 12. And then every 2 pi over 12 you have another one. So I'm going to add 2 pi over 12. That'll be pi over 12. Here. And then we're going to add another one. So it's going to be 3 pi over 12. And then I have 2 more. The next one's going to be 5 pi over 12. And the next one's going to be 7 pi over 12. So now I'm going to sketch in sine. Okay, so sine would start on the axis, right? So that would be, so at negative pi over 12 we're going to be at 1. At pi over 12 we're going to be at 3/2. At 3/2 we're going to be back. 3 pi over 12 we're going to be back at 1. At 5 pi over 12 we're going to be at a half, and at 7 pi over 12 back at 1. And so just kind of sketching in my sine curve. But this is not the one we want to graph, we're just using it to graph cosecant. Right. So next we're going to draw in cosecant. And so cosecant, remember, has some vertical asymptotes. And the vertical asymptotes, they occur when sine is 0. So, okay, so we have one here, and then we have another one here, and then we have another one here. Okay. All right, and then all we do is we kind of, in a sense, invert, kind of use the behavior of sine to sketch in my behavior of cosecant. And so we're going to go the opposite direction of these curves here, up towards the asymptote. So we have that one, and then this one goes down. Okay, and so let's suppose instead I wanted to graph secant of the same information. Then what I would have done first is I would have sketched cosine, and then used the behavior of cosine to help me sketch secant.